conference finals officially over, so we are here to talk basketball and obviously talk about the NBA finals, which is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. Shout out to Jacksonville, I guess we could say legend, Corey Sima, who is a OKC fan. Anybody that lives in the Jacksonville area,
wow, you just gave Corey legend over Burrish and Beads. That's crazy.
I actually had to do an event today, which is what threw me off for this, by the way. We did a weather expo because we are 4 days into hurricane season and we already have a potential situation going on. But we did a hurricane expo with all the meteorologists. So Burrish, Beanball, Sima, and Trevor Gibbs all came in. And
I was gonna say, I don't know Trev, but Corey I didn't know as much too, because like Corey was kind of near the end of my time there.
Yeah.
Garrett and Burrish, I love both of them, obviously. Like Garrett, we would hang out with like outside of work, and Burrish is a certified legend to me, like one of the nicest dudes that you will ever meet. Incredible meteorologist.
They're all great. Yeah.
Yeah, like dude was waking up at like 7 a.m. to file live reports for OKV when he wouldn't be on the air until much later in the day. So yeah, give that man Mike Burrish his flowers for sure.
And they all still do it. Like they're still doing it. Corey and Beanball all have kids about Quinn's age, so we're all like in this. We all bond over that. Although Corey Sima, if I'm not mistaken, is either from the Oklahoma City area. He has ties to it because he is a huge Oklahoma City Thunder fan, because he brought it up today at the Weather Expo. Like he brought it up and he said, "Go Thunder." And I was like, "Oh, right. I got a podcast tonight." And so him and I talk Thunder all the time. And I should have asked him if he counts the Sonics win as a Thunder like final win.
It's
that's
awkward.
Also a topic. That's a topic that has been brought up on TV, ESPN or wherever. But
I don't think you count it. And like I know you count it because like it's on the jersey, right? They have the patch on the back of the jersey. And like again, shout out to the 1978 Sonics, NBA champs. Super cool for Seattle. But it's awkward, right? Like, and because it's not just that's the only franchise that did this. Like you go back, use the Sixers. The Sixers' first championship as a franchise was in 1955 as the Syracuse Nationals. Obviously they won 2 in Philly, but does that really count when, it technically counts in the lore, but I don't think you really count that. I think most Oklahoma City fans will probably view this as their first championship, seeing as it's the first in that city. I think they're all treating it as such.
I feel so too. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look at, dude, the League of Parity. How about this? The NBA, for as dynastic as that was all the early years of this podcast, we're now going on, what is this, the 7th or 8th consecutive new champion in a row. And in this instance, like you said, a little bit of history with either the first championship in Oklahoma City or the Indiana Pacers putting their first championship on the board. First time back to the finals for them since 2000, the first Kobe and Shaq championship.
And it was pretty much confirmed we were going to get a new time winner from the Final Four team.
The Knicks would have been the only team that's won in the past. But again, the Knicks haven't won since the 70s. So like long drought would have won. Minnesota has never won before, so it would have been the first for them. Minnesota fans are the most tortured fans in all of sports. And like, we'll talk Doom Meter for the Timberwolves in a sec. We're going to start with the Knicks first. But the Twins have won 2 championships, World Series, and they were in like, I think 1987 and 1991. And then the Timberwolves have never won. The Vikings have never won the Super Bowl, and the Minnesota Wild have never won the Stanley Cup. So like, yeah, it's been quite literally all but 1 year of my lifetime since Minnesota won a championship in any sport. Like when certain individual teams obviously have longer droughts, like, with not to keep going back to Philly, but like with us as a Philly fan, like you have a 50-year plus drought for the Flyers, and you have quite a substantial, almost 50-year drought for the Sixers now at this point. But like, yeah, you still got 2 Eagles in the last few years. The Phillies won the World Series in 2008. So like, you got something at least recent to hang your hat on. Other cities can certainly have that as well. But poor Minnesota fans. They're I almost feel like they're higher on the Doom Meter than they would be just because of that. Like it's like a region-wide existential crisis.
So I also, not to be outdone with this amazing talk about finals, which we are going to get into a little bit, we do have other news. After their best run in 25 years, the Knicks have fired Thibs. I was kind of doing some quick looking. So this is AI that just pulled it up on Google. So forgive me if I'm wrong and don't have this right, but it looks like obviously Mike Malone, Thibs, Frank Vogel, all were coaches that were fired, after some finals appearances. This one obviously is like almost immediately after getting close to the conference, literally in the conference finals. But on top of that, he just added to the list of coaches and GMs that were fired this season. You want to talk parity? We've lost a lot of coaches. Sacramento, Memphis. Not to be outdone with Denver letting Malone go. Was it like 5 days
left?
Yeah, 3 games left. And now Thibs out. What do you make of it? Because now, it feels like I there's a few different ways to take this because, you almost feel like they should have run it back, but I'm also a very noted clock management Thibs hater on this podcast. So I kind of back off saying they should have kept him because I do feel like if you had a little bit of a bigger rotation and you kind of managed the players' times a little bit, I don't know. There's also that argument that we could get into later. And I know a few of the listeners don't want to hear that.
It's a nuanced conversation. No, seriously, it really there isn't an answer here. And I'm going to do the here's one hand and here's hand two. And we're going to talk about what's each. In terms of my initial reaction, the only reason I'm surprised is because I thought that Boston series would buy him another year. We talked going into the playoffs. I definitely thought Thibs was on the hot seat a little bit and probably more than people gave him credit for. The Knicks have invested a lot of resources into this roster, but I also feel like the Knicks, it's a little disappointing the way you went out to the Pacers. I feel like you had a chance to win that series and you didn't. And I think you really look at game one and go, hey, that feels like the moment where we lost this series. We had a chance to really set the tone and we kind of never got back on the same foot. But I did think them getting past the Celtics, a team that I think most people thought were better than the Knicks, would have bought him another year at least. And then maybe if they were underachieving next year, then they would pull the trigger and make the decision.
And I guess it's kind of hard to compare because obviously people play less games. And so it's hard to compare it, 15 games to 18 games or whatnot. But when you just do this season's playoffs right now, obviously the first 5 players are the starting 5 for the Knicks in terms of minutes totals. The next closest is Anthony Edwards at 584.8. Again, he played 15 games. Mikal Bridges, who led the league in the playoffs, at least for minutes, at 18 games. So 3 more games. That's worth mentioning, but is at 706 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a lot more. I get it's more games, but you go to Hallie, who's played 16 games, so that's 2 games less. Hallie's only at 561. He's 10th in the league, at least for playoff minutes,
Well, so again, you go back to the hand one and hand two thing, right? So here, because you're talking a lot about hand two. So let me just finish hand one first. Hand one to me goes, man, there really just is no job security in the NBA anymore. Because you're right. Yeah. Thibs got the Knicks their first conference finals in 25 years. And going back to the Boston thing, I don't really think this team underachieved. I feel like getting to the conference finals is a pretty successful result with this roster. I think you're super bummed because you've lost to Indy now for the second year in a row. You lose to them in the second round. You lose to them in the conference finals. And I think, it's one of your rivals going back to the 90s, but now even at this time too, I think the way it happened again so notably in game one in particular, maybe that, but you're right. I'm also looking around and going, was coaching the issue this year? Now, the other hand of me is hand two is a lot of what you're talking about, because it feels like the Eastern Conference Finals was a lot of Thibs' weaknesses on display, and these are weaknesses that we've known about for a long time, and it's kind of like Thibs is a known product. You're right. That team had no depth. And why did the Pacers win that series? Largely because of their depth. They just were able to provide more bodies out there. The Knicks got no productive minutes off the bench out of anyone that wasn't Mitch Robinson and Deuce McBride. And even then, like, I love Mitch. Mitch is in there more for defensive purposes. You're not really relying on him to cover a heavy offensive load. So it's one of those starting five guys is off. If they're not giving you the production that you need, then it is. You just have such a smaller margin for victory. And when you look at the teams that are in the finals with Indy, with Oklahoma
Huge
City,
depth.
they both have a ton of depth. Like, that does loom large. And so I think in a way you got to tweak the roster a little bit. You got to change that. The other thing too is it's like, I was never really impressed with Thibs' like end of game offense a lot of the times. Like, the Knicks' end of game offense was give the ball to Jalen Brunson and let's go, which, to be fair, has been a pretty successful strategy for large points of the season. Like, Jalen Brunson's been phenomenal down the stretch, but it doesn't feel like he tried to even do anything different all the way until the conference finals. And at that point, it's kind of like, hey, we're making adjustments now because we don't have anything else. Like, you almost got mandated into those adjustments. So I don't know. I'm torn. I really am, because there's a part of me that says Thibs is a known product. Like, I feel like I'd love this. And with some of the names that you mentioned out there, like specifically Mike Malone, but even Taylor Jenkins as well. Like, all the things we said about Mike Malone, I kind of feel like about Taylor Jenkins in Memphis. Like, I feel like he should get another shot somewhere, but, well, you're right. The timing of it feels a little weird after you beat the Celtics and you lose in the conference finals when it's your objectively most successful season in probably 25 years.
Well, and it's interesting because you look at the last game of Pacers and Knicks, right? That game, which I'll say it felt like, Jalen Brunson specifically, but it just felt like they were running on fumes, man. Like, they just didn't have the energy. That's when you saw, closer to a 9-man rotation. Shamet started getting some time. Wright started getting some time. 11 minutes and 15 minutes here. And so it looks like Thibs started to go to depth, but only because his hand was fully forced to do so. And so there is a little bit of that. It's also worth mentioning 3 of the last 5 coaches of the year now have been fired. 21, 22, and 23 have been fired.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so that's the other part. It's who is this blog? So I can Cleveland.com Cavs. Okay, so it's just a Cavs blog talking about it. Essentially,
I think Cleveland.com is more than a Cavs blog, bro. It's probably the website for the city.
It probably is, but
like
either way,
what's the paper or whatever?
Well, either way, but what they're saying is 3 out of the 5 coach of the year are gone, and it's not because of coaching. They kind of, I like this thought process. They said they were fired because they outgrew their approach to the game. So I say that if you look at the Knicks and you go, what's next? How do we get to the actual finals now? The answer is probably a few depth players that are reliable. And if that's the case, then Thibs got to go because he's not going to play him. Right?
I mean, kind of, yeah. But did you notice the Knicks threw Karl Anthony Towns under the bus? And again, classic Cat playoff experience. He had one of the best playoff games I've ever seen him have in game 2 there in that series. Like, huge in the fourth quarter, got them the W, sent them back to Indy tied up. And there were other ones where he was just a complete liability on the defensive end. He got targeted multiple times by Indy. Man, they threw him under the bus in record amounts of time. There was an Athletic piece up within, I feel like, 4 hours saying that they were like, yeah, we just can't figure out why Karl Anthony Towns missed these defensive rotations and missed this. And it's like, he's such a weird player come playoff time. Because the other thing, too, you can't get over is, like, that dude takes so many bad fouls. Like, I've never seen a player just consistently put himself in foul trouble unnecessarily like Karl Anthony Towns does sometimes.
Yes. So it was game. Was this 2? Game 3? No, game 2, where they lost 109 to 114. And I only know this because I was being a delinquent and betting on the game, specifically the overs per quarter. And I'll give you that story in a second too, because that's actually kind of hilarious. And I think anybody that sports bets will laugh along with me. But either way, I was betting the quarter overs, and the first 2 quarters, Cat was a lock. The dude couldn't miss. He was making these shots. It was crazy. And I was like, oh, this guy's going to get me to my over, which spoiler alert, doesn't happen. But
that's always how it works, bro.
Yeah. But what's crazy is halfway through the second, the announcers talked about how Karl Anthony Towns was like a -20 on the floor. And I was like, how is that even possible? The dude hasn't, like, he's just making threes, making shots. Like, he was just making these shots. I was so baffled to find out that he was a negative on the court.
It's the cat experience. Yeah. It's so odd. It's and it you can't just, like, you kind of know what it is. It's happened in Minnesota. And you're right. It's weird because you can't say you can't win playoff games with Cat, because again, this is back-to-back years this guy's in the conference finals on two separate teams.
Which,
but
by the way,
it does feel like there's a limit. Like, he is, for as great as Karl Anthony Towns is, there is so much still where, like, there's just that little bit of meat left on the bone where it's like, man, he should be like the best center in the league.
By the way, in that game specifically, just on the Thibs comment, the only player that played, everybody pretty much, 6 players played over 25 minutes. You could probably guess who that is. Cam Payne is the only other player to play minutes at 9 minutes. Everyone else was a coach's decision. So that goes back to the Thibs comment. But to the betting the overs, right? So the first quarter was 52.5 points total between the two teams. I was like, that's pretty doable. These two dropped like 130 each in the first game. So I went for it. Didn't hit. Second quarter was like, all right, now I got to make my money back. And it was at 53.5. And I'm like, okay, well, they got close. Second quarter, like, we're picking up speed. Let's go. It didn't hit. So then I'm looking at the third quarter over while we're at halftime, and it jumps up to 58.5. And I'm like, well, we didn't hit 52 and we didn't hit 53. There's no way they hit 58. So I bet the under. They hit the over. And so I go, well, now I really need to make my money back because I've just lost 3 bets in a row. Let's bet the Knicks.
The worst advice ever, by the way. Justin, that is hard. That is exactly how they get you. I can't. It's exactly when you play video games and it's like you've lost 4 games in a row and you're like, I can't go to bed. I can't end on a loss. There's no way. And then the next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. and you've lost 9 games in a row.
Well, so I go, all right, let's make the money back.
Not that ever happens to me, of course. That never happens.
I go, all right, well, let's make the money back. Let's bet the Knicks, who are losing by 2 points right now. So it's like a plus whatever. So I put the rest of my money on that, and the Knicks obviously lost 114 to 109. So I lost 4 in a row. It was impressive at most. But all that to say, yes, I understand what you're talking about with the cat experience. The other part of that was in that game specifically, game 2, Pascal Siakam had 39 points. And I'll tell you what, I didn't realize he was scoring so much until like the end of the third when they're like, yeah, he's at like 28 points. I was like, how's this? What? Like, have we been watching the same game? I didn't even realize he was just going off like that.
Yeah. So right. It always it's felt always kind of sneaky with Pascal Siakam. And you're right. Like, you'll look up and you'll be like, oh, wait a minute. He had 40 points last night. Like, what? Because it's not as flashy, I guess. It's just very, guy gets the points, gets buckets. I did laugh. Shout out to our guy, Andrew Morgan, who just, a huge Knicks fan. Literally, his Twitter name is @KnicksBrew. I knew the season was over when Justin picked the Knicks to win the series. That's tough, pal.
I liked his subtle. I knew he was doing it so that he could get TJ McConnell in the finals.
And listen, that's how bad it's gotten for us. It really is at the point where I'm like, man, I hope TJ gets one. Maybe the process was worth it then if that guy gets one.
But dead serious, out of all of it, I am now, like, in terms of NBA trying to get some kind of fandom going, I am 0 for 3 now with Sixers, Memphis, and then picking the Knicks.
All right, well, I can't wait to see you pick in the finals, so we'll get that coming up here in a second. I'm looking forward to it.
Here's a spoiler. It's pretty damn chalky. So,
well, hey, the Indianapolis residents are thrilled to hear that. They're taking the streets as we speak.
TJ McConnell's guy.
That's
I'm
right.
doing it for him.
We did it. Do it for our guy. All right, but before we get into the finals preview and intro the show and all that, I do want to talk a little bit of Minnesota on the Doom meter as well. I guess we never really ranked the Knicks. They're not at the top, but they're definitely not at the bottom either. I feel like they're in the upper third.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, the Thibs firing definitely added a wrinkle to it. But I don't think it's like Milwaukee, Cleveland, Boston even necessarily. Boston's so tough to rank because, again, like, you just won, but Tatum losing a year of his prime and it being Achilles is so brutal. Anyway, though, but winning cures a lot. For the Timberwolves, a second straight conference finals exit, a little disappointing. Again, this one to OKC. I mean, the general vibes, like they've already done, obviously, their exit interviews and stuff like that. Like the president of basketball operations, Tim Connolly, came out and basically said, like, look, we're not trying to shake it up really that much this offseason. Like, we're happy with the core, we're happy with Ant's development. With the additions of Julius Randle, who is somebody that they're going to have to, come to contract for. With Naz Reid, you're going to have to make a decision on what you want to do there long term. But yeah, I mean, I get, and obviously, like a lot of this is going to come down to Ant's continued development and Ant's continued ascendance. I think losing in the conference finals, and again, going back to that Minnesota drought, adds a little more to the doom meter there. But given again that you made such a drastic change in the past offseason with moving Towns, you kind of took a gamble on that, and it worked a little bit. Like Randall was, I mean, this is, in my opinion, was the best playoff run he's had his entire year. Or his entire career, I should say. I think you're a little disappointed, just because OKC kind of like they were pretty in control of that series. I think that would be the disappointing element, is that you weren't really close.
And I guess if we're being honest with ourselves, like in my opinion, I view the Thunder as a significantly better team. So that doesn't surprise me that OKC was essentially in control the whole time.
The last episode you were on, and by the way, 20 minutes in this episode, shout out to our guy Chase Bunker for filling in last week.
He asked me if I watched the episode yet, and I'm like, no, I haven't had a second because I kind of hit the ground running when I got back.
But we when we talked, you and I talked a little bit before when Game 7 was about to happen with Minnesota and or not with Minnesota, with OKC and with Denver. We were saying for Minnesota, like, you want Denver because the matchup is so much better, where with OKC it just wasn't. I mean, the biggest question for Minnesota for me this offseason is, we talk about Randall and Reed. The bigger one too is Alexander Walker. Like, Nickeil Alexander-Walker has been great defensively for them, but just the kind of like your perfect 3-and-D guy for the modern NBA. He's an unrestricted free agent this year. There's no planet where you're bringing back Alexander Walker, Julius Randle, and Reed, and not going under the second apron, or not being over the second apron. So, like, again, if you want to go over the second apron, that's fine. But it's just like, understand that you're paying a lot. Like, you're going to get penalized for that.
Yeah.
They've got some young players who they're interested in, who maybe are due for some more playing time, and they're going to need them to fill in. You look at guys like Jalen Clark, you look at like Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr., for example. That would be the way to keep this going. What it really comes down to is Ant. Obviously, the big story too is you've got the new ownership coming in there. Mark Lore and A-Rod are just awaiting NBA approval, but that saga, which has been going on for like 2 years now, I feel like.
Yeah, I forgot about it kind of, and then I was like, oh wait, that's still going on.
Yeah, well, that's about to be over. So, I guess there's a little, I think consistency there for everybody, where, there's not really as much stress. You don't really anticipate them blow. I mean, certainly after last season, like, you're not going to do anything to that extent. Like, there's not going to be a shocking move, I think.
Yeah, I have trouble putting them on the doom meter lower than higher, I guess, only because kind of what you were saying. I don't think they need to make any drastic changes. I think they just need a few tweaks here and there, and they could be right back to it. And if Ant's, true to his word, no one's going to work harder than him this offseason, I definitely believe in him to do it. Now, I am definitely interested in hearing your thoughts on, I think it was Chuck that said it, where he's like, SGA can be the face of the NBA and Ant can't. I don't know if you saw that.
Why? What was the reason?
I'll have to find the reasoning again, but I vaguely caught him saying it during one of the broadcasts, and I thought it was kind of an interesting statement to say. I'll see if I can find the reason about it. Maybe we'll bring it up on another podcast and kind of do a deeper dive onto the meaning of that. But
well, there can be multiple faces too. That's kind of my thing. Is it's like,
yeah,
because even now, like LeBron is still the face of it all, but like so is Steph, so is KD.
I'm also about to piss you off. You can't have the face of a franchise be in a bottom TV market rating. You know what I mean? Like,
you are gonna piss me off. I hate that so much. I'm like, Adam Silver is somewhere just like his head
Hating
is
life.
exploding knowing that there's a final and it's Indy versus OKC, and I love every second of it.
If you were wondering, the TV market, OKC is ranked 47th and Indy is 25th per the Nielsen ratings. What's interesting, the Ringer actually has this out. So in the last 4 years, Milwaukee 38th, Denver 17th, which is, I mean, that's relatively smaller than normal, but it's like, yeah, Adam Silver's out here trying to spin every single way to make this fun. Is like, yeah, your viewership's going to be down.
Oh, dude, he wanted the Knicks to be good so bad. And it's so lame that viewership's probably going to be down because I do think this is going to be an entertaining matchup. Like, we'll talk the full finals preview. We'll finally get to that here in a sec, but I don't know. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to a fun series. I'm with you though. I don't think Minnesota's super high on the do meter. Like they're right at the middle, but I have them closer to the bottom than I do to the top. So, we'll see what they do. A few big decisions the offseason. We'll see if they what they end up doing with that trio of guys we talked about. Welcome everybody to the Driving Dish NBA podcast. My name is Kevin Rafuse. Joining me as always, my co-host Justin Cousart.
Number one thing you could take from the Pacers is that it's impressive how hard they all play all the time.
For sure. 100%.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that
both these
statement.
teams play hard, but you're right. The Pacers, like, they grind. Everyone, because again, like, there's Hallie is that guy, and so Siakam, honestly, you should get a little more credit for it, but like, they don't have that, like, world breaker, I feel like, the way that some championship team, like when Denver had Jokic, where it's like, Jokic is unbelievable. The Bucks have Giannis. Like, who is that for the Pacers? And even for the Thunder, like, I think, SGA winning MVP this year, I think you can kind of argue that a little bit, but like, there's still a valid discussion if like SGA is like a true world breaker like that.
I think he is.
I kind of do too.
I think he's getting there. I also think, like, if it hasn't happened already, because I know he's had some really good defensive plays, I think we are really going to get put onto some of the defense that Alex Caruso is bringing to the team.
God, dude, NBA Twitter's known for ages. Like the casuals, if you haven't figured that out yet, you better catch up. Alex Caruso, all that dude does is win. Yeah, he just wins. He wins playoff games. He's a guy you want in a meaningful arena.
I love / hate the transitions that people do with Alex Caruso on social media.
It's insane, dude. I mean, that whole genre is completely unhinged.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. I saw a little person take off the other day, like randomly in a living room, and then somebody mash it up with, wrong sport, but like with Jose Altuve. And I was just like, oh my God, dude, man. Like, people are out of their mind. If you're out of your mind and want to leave us a bad review, don't do that. But if you want to leave us a good review on iTunes, do that on the podcast. And we'll read it here on the show. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
Yep, and we are on YouTube, Driving Dish NBA. You can watch the video. A lot of, we'll do Immaculate Grid, so there's some video to it. You can follow us there, Driving Dish NBA on YouTube. Subscribe. You'll get notifications when the next episode is coming out.
Now, a word from our sponsors.
So the NBA Finals Game 1 will kick off tomorrow, depending on when you're listening to this. For continuity's sake, we are recording this on the 4th. That's Game 1, just to run down it. Then Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, if needed, Monday, Thursday, Sunday. It would be crazy to me if this went only 4 games. My prediction, and we'll just do that before any kind of breakdown, just because I'm really ready to fire the cannons.
Okay.
Thunder Game 1, Thunder Game 2, Pacers Game 3, Thunder Game 4, Thunder Game 5.
Okay. All right. Not a bad prediction, honestly.
I only do that because I have money on it now too. So.
Oh, okay. Wow. You all right for every individual game. All right. Not bad. No, I think I'm generally with you. I think I'm at OKC in 6. I'm going to give the Pacers credit. Like that's also probably me being a quote unquote Pacers guy. I feel like they made me look really smart on the podcast the last few months, like talking about how much I believed in this squad and how I love their depth and how I thought they played hard and, I like their pace and all that fun stuff, no pun intended, but look, OKC is the better team here. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, we've been saying this all year long. It's like, I'm not going to suddenly back off when we're in the finals that OKC is now suddenly not the best team in the league. I think that Indy has a much better chance of winning than I think a lot of people are going to give them credit for. But yeah, like I'm not just going to jump off this cliff. Again, OKC had in game 7 to me that coming to like the we're here, we're ready moment. Because when they were down early to Denver, it was like, yo, is this core still not have the seasoning on it? Like, are they really going to let the lights get too bright? You know, Jalen Williams had been struggling. SGA had a rough fourth quarter. And they just turned it on and just dominated that game. And ever since they flipped the switch there, it feels like they've been rolling. Like, obviously, like a pretty easy time with Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, it's the way they play defensively, obviously, is the key here too. Like, I just think they have the personnel to really make Hallie's life difficult. Like you mentioned Caruso, you mentioned Lou Dort, who's one of the better defenders in the league. Like, I think Holmgren can, play with Siakam and he can, give Miles Turner a little bit of a run.
There is some question that I have in terms of size advantage. Obviously, that leans OKC with Hartenstein and Chet. You obviously have Miles Turner, and it's been documented, and obviously you saw it when they brought out Thomas Bryant and Tony Bradley to kind of deal with the bigger guys with Cleveland and New York. But like I wouldn't put any of those other tandems as this whole Holmgren Hartenstein tandem that we're about to see go up against him. So I am curious. I think that will be a very low key duel to see, Thomas Bryant, Tony Bradley versus those two. I also think Andrew Nembhard is going to be a big contributor because, I mean, we saw what he can do.
Yeah.
You've seen it all playoffs, but I think he's going to be a little bit of an X factor as well. And how does OKC defend that? Do you just kind of like what you were talking about? Do you move Caruso around to the hot hand at the time and try to have him shut it down? Yeah, there's other defensive guys, but we were obviously talking about Caruso. I'm curious to see if that's something that happens.
Well, you mentioned the big guys too, and now, like, you're right. OKC on paper definitely has the advantage with that
Turner,
duo of Hartenstein and with Holmgren, but everybody on Indy can kind of shoot. And so, like, does that help? Like, if Indy's not crashing the paint, and I know Hallie's been driving a lot, like, that's going to be, how they play that interior defense is going to be a huge portion of that as well. Because we know so many times, he gets into the lane and he just finds these shooters. The Pacers have been knocking down shots left and right this entire run. Like, that's a big question to me. Is like, you're right. Like, do you wonder if the Thunder goes small here? Do you play Chet and just, run more wings and try to keep them off the 3-point line? Like, I'm interested to see if Mark Daigneault makes that adjustment. They've with Chet Holmgren on the other side, Indy's been guarding him with centers. Maybe do they try to play a smaller version as well? I don't know.
I did see that, at least in the stats, OKC has the rebound advantage by a decent amount. Everything else is relatively close, points, assists, but rebounds, they've got like 5-ish more rebounds per game. So I think that leans into a little bit of that size advantage conversation. And what do those second chance points kind of look like in those moments? Could be very interesting. So again, that leans... leads me to that. All those little stats essentially leans me to go with OKC, which I know is chalky. They're the number 1 seed, and the Pacers are the 4 seed. So that's why I go chalky, I guess.
No, what's the other big matchup to me here? It's the turnover battle. OKC leads the league in forcing turnovers, and the Pacers are the 3rd best team at not turning the ball.
Yeah, what was the stat that Hallie had? Like 30, and did he have a triple-double with no turnovers or something like that? Like, dude. Holy cow.
He did the...
It was like let's see if I can
the game against the Thunder, he had... Oh, never mind. Just kidding. That was horrible. I did forget about that. That first match against Thunder, he only had 4 points. 8 assists, 1 turnover, but
I want to say it was in the playoffs. I think it was against the Knicks. He had a game where he had 28 turnovers. Here it is. Yeah, 28 point field goal. Oh, geez, the field goal shots were pretty damn bad. This is definitely not the right game.
Yeah.
This was when they lost. So hold on. I'll see if I can find it. There was a stat that he had that was like he dropped some crazy stat and had 0 turnovers with it. I'll see if I can find it for you real quick. I'll look for it.
There's only, and this is per Yahoo, there's only 3 players in the last 3 seasons who have played 5,000 total minutes and assisted more than 40% of their teammates' basket while turning it over fewer than 15% of the time. And that's Hallie, Jokic, and Luka Doncic. So not exactly a bad company there.
So according to, I hate this Google AI thing. It's not giving me enough stats. I mean, hoop height.
Yeah, stop using AI to get stats.
I just Googled it. I said Hallie no turnovers, and this is what it gave me. He had a 30.15 assist game with 0 turnovers.
Yeah. I feel like I remember that. I don't remember when it was exactly, but I know what you're talking about.
I could have sworn it was
might
in the
have
playoffs.
been. I don't know, man. I have no idea. Yeah, like again, these teams are so similar, right? Like that's my biggest takeaway too. Is it's like right, they're both great defensively. They both hit open shots. They both play good defense. They both want to get out and run. I think OKC, kind of has a little more flexibility in the sense that they're probably a little better at half-court offense than Indy is. Like I think they can kind of do both styles. It just all comes down to the fact that it's like everything I think Indy is good at, I think OKC is good at. It's just a little bit better. And so, I really want Indy to force this series and not be a 5-game series. But yeah, like you're right. I keep going back to OKC in 5 or OKC in 6. Like again, and the other thing that we haven't really talked about is it's like I am interested to see how this is called. The Pacers play tough, and like the Pacers generally against the Knicks, like there weren't really a ton of whistles. Like I thought they they let them play essentially. I'm not saying SGA is a free throw merchant. I'm not fully at that level, but like SGA makes a lot of bread and butter off getting to the line. Like he's one of those guys who's lived on the getting the ticky tack kind of calls and stuff. That does make me very interested to see how it's called. Like if they let them play a little bit, that probably favors Indy. And so I think that could, be an interesting thing to keep an eye on through this matchup as well.
Again, just another nod to the Pacers. It is wild that the Knicks are the only team that pushed them past 1 game in this playoff. The Bucks 4-1, Pacers Cavs 4-1, Pacers Knicks 4-2.
And every one of those series after post Cavs, you could have, like, I had them beating the Knicks. I thought that was a 50-50.
Yeah,
I think you could have definitely argued the Knicks were the favorite there. Like, but everybody knew they were going to beat the Bucks. At least in my opinion, everybody that watched the NBA this season knew that they were going to beat the Bucks. But you're right. Like ever since then, like, the way they bulldozed the Cavs, the biggest reason I have the Cavs so high on Doom Meter, like they bulldozed them.
And I think
then with the Knicks too, like you said, after taking that game 1, like they didn't bulldoze the Knicks, but when it was 3-1, and especially when it was 2-0 leaving the Garden, it was like, hey, you got to feel pretty good about this.
Yeah, and I think if you're the Pacers, go back and watch OKC Nuggets and see what happened when they pushed them to 7. And again, if you get them to 7, that's a 50-50 ball game, and you can go from there. But I think you'll see how to handle the height problems. Watch what Jokic and they were doing down low, and maybe there's a little bit to take from that.
It just feels like OKC the first 2 rounds was kind of like passive at points, where it was like, you guys are too good to be losing these games. And the way they just haven't been since that game 7, it's like, no, we're here. Actually, no, we're here and we're ready. That they've been building this all season. This is it's been championship or bust the whole time. I think a lot of smart people picked them to win the title before the season started. I think they're probably going to be right at the end of this. Likely championship going to OKC. So, get the Sonic ready, get ready to go to the Oklahoma River walk. And, we'll see if they're partying down there. And if not, hey, we're going to Indy too, because they're going to turn it up too for that first championship. That'd be really cool to see. All right, who's balling, who's falling? Our NBA version of the stock market. We always like start with the good before the bad. And so balling for me this week, we talked about Thibs getting fired. How about a little bit of breaking news? The Phoenix Suns have themselves a new head coach, Jordan Ott. He is an assistant coach from Cleveland. He again is now the Suns coach. He's 40 years old. He's been in the league since 2012. According to Shams, he's rooted in principles of strong offensive and defensive creativity, player development, and toughness, which I feel like is a bunch of ways to say nothing. But yeah, replacing Mike Budenholzer. Again, big offseason ahead for the Suns. We're going to see what they do with Kevin Durant. We'll go from there. But apparently Devin Booker was involved in the search, so at least you got that going.
Yeah, get him from a team that choked in the semifinals. That's cool. Sorry. I also really want to make a chaperone joke with the way that OTT is. What is that? Hot to go?
You're working. You just keep workshopping it. You're good.
Yeah, we'll get there. I'm sure the Suns will get there too. I mean, you might as well. But no, I mean, obviously, if Booker's interested, he's obviously the future of the team, and if this is what he wants, I think obviously you got to do that and go for it. And so I'm interested to see what happens. Obviously, the joke about the Cavs, yes, but they were very impressive this year. So I think it is just.
That's why they got me to buy back in. That's why I'm so mad at them. They got me to buy back in because they had such a good regular season. It was such a dominant regular season that I said, all right, I'm going to go against I've said all year long is that they're not there. It doesn't matter until the playoffs. You know what? I'm going to give you an auto ticket to the conference finals. And they got chumped by the Pacers. They didn't just lose. They got dog walked by Indiana. And so, you know what? You're right. I'm kind of, putting on Cleveland a little bit, but
and that is why, mark it down, until I am proven wrong, I will never leave my podium, my pedestal about how the Orlando Magic choke it out at the back half of the season, usually because of injuries. But I will not back off that until they prove me wrong. Get into the playoffs healthy, get to the conference semifinals, and we can talk.
Did you see the new Magic jerseys?
No, I didn't see them.
They're cool. I like there's a white one, a blue one, and a black and blue combo one. I got to be honest, I hate the hybrid. I think it stinks. The blue one is okay. The white one is fire. The white one is super cool.
With the stripes like
it's like the pinstripes. I like the pinstripes of the blue. They didn't use, what did they use, Orlando one or they use Magic?
It says Magic with the star as the
I kind of wish it said Orlando, but whatever. Like
it's a blue one, the all blue one with white stripes says Orlando. The other two say Magic.
No, that's what I'm saying. I wish the blue one said Magic. I like the white one. Mm-hmm. The mixed one is okay.
I kind of like the mixed one, the blue and black with like the fan base. Stripe.
The fan base has been more about it, so I definitely think I'm in the minority there. I don't know. We'll see. They just came out, I think, a day and a half ago. So
even the logos, the icons are different.
Shout out to
basketball with stars.
Shout out to our guy Lewis for the Magic, who Lewis Axon, a former pod guest here. He works for the Magic now and is cracking up because he was like, we were all laughing at the tweet where the Magic was like, "Thank you, internet, for not leaking this. Like, thank you." Well, I was like, Lou, good for you. You're a good employee. You didn't leak me information. Way to be. All right, who's balling for you this week?
Ballin for me is going to go out to Adam Silver, who is on it's not a small market finals tour right now, but that is not why he's on my Ballin. He came out and announced that next year's All-Star game is going to feature a Team USA versus Team World, which is what we said, and a 0% surprise because of the hockey stuff that went down.
Yeah,
so.
Thank God common sense reigned. Like, that's all it comes down to. Like, that's the only way I can even think of to make it competitive. We'll see if it actually is, but USA versus the world, you may have our attention a little bit. All right, Fallin for me is the Pacers travel plans because there's severe weather in OKC. I don't know if you've heard about this, but they have tornadoes in Oklahoma. But yeah, their charter flight got diverted to Tulsa and then had to stop and refuel and get back up in the air to OKC. So kind of an unfortunate start to the travel for the Pacers there.
What's that Kelly Clarkson song about? Down to the bones and watch it all blow away. Storms in Oklahoma. Is that Kelly Clarkson?
I have no idea. It sounds like a little
Rain bit. In Oak. I'm gonna Google it.
Rain in
Blown Away. It's called Blown Away. All right, there you go.
Oh, I do know that song. I think I haven't heard that in a long time.
Bring it all down and wash it, blow away. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, you're right. I don't
know why you said song. That. When you said, "Oh, surprise! It rains," or "There's storms in Oklahoma," that's what made me think of it. So.
Yeah.
Here we are. Yeah, man. I mean, obviously that sucks. I don't know. Does it affect them at all? Do you think it has any impact?
No, they got there multiple days early. They're fine. You'll have a day to adjust. It's not like they were in a tornado or something.
Right.
All right. Fallin for me. I just did Fallin. Just kidding. Who was Fallin for you this week?
My Fallin is, I guess, all of the NBA viewing experience world. Kevin Harlan signed off on NBA on TNT for the final time. It was emotional. It's sad. It was a great halftime show. It was just a great show in general. And obviously, it's going to be a bummer to have him not be on TNT.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is it's weird because they are going to ESPN and
Right.
I feel like the tributes almost kind of went too long a little bit. But
like, bro, you're still
the
there.
last night was great. They got their money's worth. I loved Shaq going out. I mean, shout out to Shaq being the one and Kenny for crashing out while Chuck was the calm one. But yeah, I mean, all of it. Like Kevin Harlan and Reggie Miller was really emotional. That was kind of destiny that Reggie's last game on TNT was calling the Pacers getting back to the conference finals. For the finals cool. Since first time since they went. So a little bit, full circle there and closed. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It will be very interesting to see how this plays out on ESPN. Obviously, like a lot of personalities clashing there, a lot of difference in styles. So we're certainly going to be seeing here sooner than later. But all right, it's been a little bit. Should we fire up some Immaculate Grid or what?
Sure. I will share my screen.
Yeah, I think we've been like 3 weeks. Like, I mean, I've still been playing it. They've low-key added a bunch of new categories, which is great. I'm really pumped about it. Like, I've seen block per season. I've seen steal per season, which is good because I feel like they were kind of getting stale, honestly.
Can you still see it? I clicked on.
I can see your screen, yes.
But you can't see Immaculate Grid, right?
I can now. No, I could.
Okay. Just
right there.
Yeah,
I kept
making sure you can
kept going back and forth the final schedule, but we're good now. All right. Okay. So for the podcast user or for the podcast listeners, I should say, you can always watch the driving. Good Lord, until it's the end of the day. You can always watch the video version of the podcast at Immaculate Grids. Just search YouTube Driving Dish NBA podcast. Before the podcast listeners, our rows this week. From top to bottom, the Rockets, the Heat, and the Bucks are columns from left to right, the Sixers, the Grizzlies, and 10,000 career rebounds. So, Justin, I will start with you. You're going right to Sixers and Rockets. What are we doing?
JJ McDaniel, baby.
Okay, yeah, fired up, process guy. I mean, lot of answers there.
0.8. Let's go.
Probably the biggest one there has got to be Harden, right?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of Harden.
Harden, sneaky one is, and honestly, if you want to use him for 10K rebounds, because the Rockets' chalky 10K rebounds is obviously Hakeem Olajuwon.
Mm-hmm.
The other one there, though, is Charles Barkley. We talking about Chuck. Chuck ended his career in Houston. He was unfortunately a year late to getting that ring with Hakeem. But yeah, Chuck has 10,000 rebounds. For sure.
Let's go.
Yeah, a little bit lower.
So, obviously, Sixers and Heat, Jimmy Butler's an easy one.
And Josh Richardson is the opposite
other
of that
side
trade.
of that, yep.
Andre Iguodala. Iguodala was in Miami for a year.
Iggy would be an interesting one. You want to go Iggy?
Well, I'm trying to think who else we got too. Like
PJ Tucker.
PJ, yeah, literally took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
God, there's another. There's a more recent one. I feel like I'm missing. Oh, if you want to keep the process theme going, Dwayne Dedmon works.
Dwayne Dedmon. Did Michael Carter Williams end up on either the Bucks or the Heat?
The Bucks, yes, for sure. The Bucks was the initial trade they made.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
Should we process this whole thing?
I'm down. Process it. Yeah, Dedmon and MCW. I'm with it.
Oh,
MON. No, you're right. DEDMON.
Dwayne.
I think he's from the Bahamas. I believe that's what his ethnicity is. I could be completely wrong there.
I thought Carter would get it, but I guess that was bad.
No, I mean, Vince. Everybody's going to go Vince first.
There he is. Okay. Yeah. Process that whole row, baby. Let's go.
No would be really low is the opposite of that deal. Or, you know what? Maybe, I don't actually, was he attached there? Jared Bayless was a Sixer at one point. He was a Buck, but he would be very low. Because I think he was in that deal. But yeah, either way.
Did OJ Mayo play for the Grizz
and the Bucks? Yep, 100%. He got drafted by the Grizz, bro. I'm down for OJ.
That'd be a good one.
OJ was one of the most hyped basketball players out of high school of all time.
11%. Okay.
Yeah, OJ Mayo.
Okay. One of the LeBron point guards definitely ended up on
Mario
the
Chalmers.
Chalmers, yeah, there 100%. It is.
Yeah, 100%. Are we just going for? I'm cool. I'm down going on first thought because we're cruising, obviously. So I'm not gonna break the flow.
Rockets. Bain, Desmond Bain. right?
Wait, no, did he?
Is he
Desmond
on the?
Bain? No,
Didn't he go to the
He got
Rockets?
drafted by the Grizzlies.
Yeah, and then didn't he get traded to the Rockets?
Oh, no. No. Justin,
Okay.
Desmond Bain, there's no planet where he ever got traded to the Rockets.
I
Desmond
could
Bain
have sworn he ended
he's
up.
on a max contract to the Grizzlies. He's very much a Memphis Grizzly.
No. Who? Okay, who am I thinking? No. Who am I thinking of? Grizzlies went to the Rockets recently.
I mean, if you got Steven Adams and Desmond Bain mixed up, that would
No.
work.
Although Steven Adams works. No. Oh my God, he was like getting in trouble for antagonizing LeBron.
Oh, Dylan Brooks.
Brooks ended up on the Heat. That's who I'm thinking of.
Yes, Dylan Brooks is 100%.
That's who I'm thinking of.
Yes.
Oh
Dylan
my
Brooks
God.
Is there. Okay, that gives you some bailout a little bit. All right,
Yeah, I'm like, wait a second.
Bain. I'm like, Justin, what are you talking about?
Those are both really recent, though. I feel like they're gonna be higher.
Dylan Brooks will be high. The other player who I think
Nerlens Noel. Did he end up at the Rockets at all?
Nope. Or the Grizz, I don't think. Oh my God, I think Chandler Parsons ended up on the Grizz like late. I know he's obviously with the Rockets.
Would be a good one.
Yeah, he definitely went to the Grizz because it was after the Dallas contract, and he started to play a little bit again.
Parsons, man, wow, that's right. Yep, 14% is wild that's that high.
He's a sneaky people use Chandler Parsons a lot. He was popular, I find out. Okay, so Heat 10K rebounds. I mean, Shaq's the obvious one.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of
other centers.
Well, Morning I feel like has burnt me on 10K before, and that's where I feel like I show I play Immaculate Grid.
Bosch definitely wasn't long enough.
Bosch wasn't long enough, yeah.
I don't think Wade would have 10K.
No, there's no way Wade would. It's just it's going to be the question is if Braun did it. And I know Braun has to have done it.
Right?
He has to have done it. The other one Kevin Love has to be close, right?
I trust
He's playing
LeBron.
Bench minutes down the end.
I trust LeBron more than Love.
I do too, and I think LeBron will be lower than Shaq, so I would be down to do LeBron there.
Oh, I guess I should.
No respect. I'm surprised it doesn't come up, honestly. It should.
23% still crazy that's high.
I think Shaq is in the 60s, dude. I really think it's high. All right, because I don't know anybody else in the Heat who has 10K. Because I just look at Morning has 5K, which is stunning to me.
Wow.
And Kevin Love I just looked up as 9,400, so he's just a little short. Bucks 10K, the obvious one is Kareem. Kareem's the easy one. I don't know if Brook Lopez has 10K. He's got the years, but
yeah,
God, I don't know. He's never really been a big rebounding guy. I associate him with kind of playing outside of the paint.
No one ended up there for a year stint. That's a Drummond or something.
No, because that's my thing. Drummond hasn't. Giannis hasn't been there yet. I'm trying to even think of I don't think Glenn Robinson, for example, he was a good rebounder, but he was never getting 10K.
No.
That's truly one where I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's again, a boomer in there somewhere, who probably has 10K. God, yeah, I truly don't think I know anyone other than Kareem for the Bucks who has 10K. I imagine Giannis will at some point. He just doesn't yet.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just go Kareem.
I want to see. Yeah, I'm going to Google this afterwards.
Oh, he's the first person that shows up if you put in K. That's funny. All right. That was 91%. Holy dude. There's 5.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, but it's not going to filter it the way we need.
No, I know. That's always what it does.
Yeah, so hold on. Yeah. I'll pull it over here and see if I'll give you the grid back and see if I can pull it over here.
Who has
Kareem's?
I'm doing it too. We're doing some live on the thing. Who has played for the Bucks and has 10,000 career rebounds? Let's
Hold
see
on,
if
I
this
got
pops
it.
Up.
Get your results.
Yeah, right. other than
it's gonna make me.
Oh, that's all right. That's not helpful. Okay, yeah, we'll come back to it later. Either way, Kareem is super high as we'd expect. Can you scroll down to our most popular answers, Just?
Interesting. Vooch, by the way, and off topic, Vooch has 10K.
Oh wow, that's a great answer for the Sixers. Can
Yeah.
you do the most popular ones? My bad.
Oh, most popular. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll go back to our grid.
Yep.
Most popular answers for it was James Harden for Sixers and Rockets. Dylan Brooks, who you mentioned for Rockets and Grizz. Hakeem Olajuwon, Rockets 10K rebounds. Jimmy Butler, Sixers and Heat. Mike Miller, Heat and Grizz. Shaquille O'Neal, Heat 10K rebounds. Drew Holiday, Sixers and Bucks. Grayson Allen, your boy, stunned you didn't drop him for Bucks and Grizz. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, number one for Bucks and rebounds, as you would imagine. Our grid, if we want to run it back one last time, we have KJ McDaniels for Sixers and Rockets, Dwayne Dedman for Heat and Sixers, Michael Carter-Williams for Bucks and Sixers, Chandler Parsons for Rockets and Grizzlies, Mario Chalmers for Heat and Grizzlies, OJ Mayo for Bucks and Grizzlies, Charles Barkley, Rockets 10,000 career rebounds, LeBron James, Heat 10K rebounds, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bucks 10K rebounds. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. Appreciate you guys as always. Happy finals. We'll be back actually sooner than later. Housekeeping on the fly.
Oh, you know who would have been sneaky
For who?
for 10K rebounds
Who?
on the Bucks? Paul Gasol.
Oh, that is a good one. Yeah,
He
Pal
played
works.
three
Damn. Yep.
games for them in 18-19.
He only played through. Wow, I thought he played more than 3 games for them. I remember him playing for the Bucks. Genuinely, like that part doesn't
3
surprise
games.
me. It's the wow. I definitely thought he played more than that.
That's one of them, at least.
Housekeeping while we're here talking schedule. Just, are we good for regular recording time on Saturday? I usually don't do this live on the podcast, but are we rolling on Saturday? Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
So in that case, so for housekeeping, we'll have this episode. This is out. We'll be back in a few days, actually. So you'll get another episode here. We'll break down game 1, talk about our first impressions of the finals. And then we'll be back midway through the series, so stay tuned for all that. Again, leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad, read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
And obviously, you want to watch the Immaculate Grid or play along as we go. There's video version. Just go to Drive and Dish NBA on YouTube. You can subscribe there like you would a podcast and obviously get notifications when new episodes are coming out.